This guy's name is Dojan. He fought to protect the world from invading monsters. He fought until his last breath, but the world he lived in was destined for destruction. He thought he would vanish into nothingness. But unexpectedly, he was reincarnated into the body of someone with the same name in another world. In this world, monsters are only just beginning to invade, so they are not yet strong enough. Dojan himself is also limited in power by his new body. But with the knowledge, experience, and background he gained in his old world, he has been eliminating the monsters and gradually becoming stronger. With the goal of protecting his new world and his loved ones, Dojan must fight and become stronger every day to achieve that. Everyone, please follow Academy Manhwa on Dojan's journey of fighting, eliminating monsters, and protecting his loved ones. The Sefi Terai begins with a scene of countless monsters appearing. The world this man once lived in has been destroyed. The monsters are all vying to expand. Humans are forced to fight monsters to survive, and he is no exception, living his entire life wielding a sword. All he knows is to keep fighting. And fighting, day after day. Then month after month, time passes by in years. Just like that, 10 years have flown by in the blink of an eye. With just a sword, he can cut any monster in half. He no longer knows what fear is, even when facing giant monsters, that sometimes make him feel like he is about to collapse. But standing before the enemy's taunts, "Give up, your world is gone." The one who caused all of this even makes an outrageous proposal. "It's a pity for your talent. Become my sword," making this man shout in anger. Nonsense. No sooner had he spoken than the monster attacked him. Aiming at his small figure, he stretched his body strongly, preparing to unleash a powerful punch, along with cold eyes. But this man did not sit still and take the attack. He responded to the enemy with determined eyes, making the enemy even more excited. After finishing the first attack, he confidently declared, "No matter how you struggle, in my eyes you are just a weak insect." And the man sobbed painfully when he was knocked away. But he had no intention of giving up and continued to fly like an arrow at maximum speed, causing the monster to pause for a long time in surprise. Then he stretched his body strongly again, preparing to launch the next attack, creating a heaven-sent blow that left Dojan buried in the rubble. While he was exhausted both physically and mentally, the monster seemed to be getting stronger. After seeing his necklace, he looked up at the tall figure of the monster, then began to scan for his vital points. The man continued to rush forward like a sharp sword, then suddenly pierced through the monster's body, causing him to exclaim painfully, "This bastard." Even he gradually fainted after the blow. The pendant shattered at this moment. The monster, unwilling to accept defeat, shouted with all his might, "No!" His body then began to dissipate. The man was still making faint gasping sounds. With a body full of injuries, Dojan then tried to look up into the sky, then continued to marvel, a beautiful sight. At the same time, in another scene, Dojan was coldly walking down the street. Then he accidentally noticed something unusual. When the alarm rang urgently, then Dojan looked at the notice board. Namsen Gate, recommended sea-level formation, minimum of 3 people or more. Please scan the cut and register your hero in Pearson and Aid. If not a hero, please stay away from the area. In front of the Yongsangyu Gate, Seoul's special city, Dojan was bending his knees backward, then quickly performed a jump, causing the alarm to ring non-stop. Danger. Unregistered hero has entered the portal legally. On the way through the portal, Dojan's eyes remained highly focused, until he landed in a deserted forest. Something was hiding behind the grass, causing Dojan to suddenly stop. Then a surprising call, "Hey, Doong man, are you lost? I do not know how you got in here, but we are getting ready to pull o. You can come with us." Seeing Dojan silent and not answering, a boy among them whispered, "Hey, look at how that guy is dressed. He does not look like a hero at all." Followed by the comments of the hero them. These days, porters have really fake redressing styles. But dressing like that. And what is with that bag? Probably the kind of useless porter that some heroes brought in and then dumped halfway. Right, Ada probably won't be that bad. Dojan, upon hearing this, decided to speak up. "I understand what you guys are thinking, but I just got here," causing one of them to exclaim smugly, "See, I told you he was abandoned." Another confidently asserted, "I have met a lot of people like you. No matter what reason you came here for. Speak politely. You want to hunt monsters just by looking at things on TV. That is suicide. First, you need a hero certificate, pass training and a test. Then you can dream. Besides, Namsen Gate is sea level. If you are new, Go back to F-level gate to practice. Dojan's rebuttal. I understand you are thinking of me, but I do not need AT. Caused the Jieparuv heroes to widen their eyes in shock. One of them, losing his temper, shouted, "What kind of crazy person is that? Hey, do not stop me this time." But Dojan coldly turned his back, causing them to comfort each other. That is enough. If he does not listen to advice, the only way is to let him experience it himself. Then he will know that the gate is not like on TV or social media, but a hell. A monster suddenly appeared, but Dojan remained extremely calm. He turned his head to look at AT, then coldly said, 10 years. After a heaven-sent blow created a cloud of dust. The monster suddenly paused for a moment, when discovering something strange. Dojan was still alive, looking at AT with a determined gaze. Then he unleashed a powerful punch, taking down the monster's head. Its body also lay stretched on the ground. After completing the first attack, Dojan commented, AT's really no different at all. While he was preparing to continue his journey, he reached out to grab something. AT was a monster's blade, causing Dojan to stare blankly for a long time. He began to point the blade towards the monster, using all his strength to execute a slash, then enthusiastically began searching. Finally taking a treasure. AT was a low-grade magic stone. Before, AT was trash that no one bothered to look at. While Dojan was tidying up, he suddenly noticed something unusual, causing him to listen carefully. From afar, the sound of footsteps that shook the earth continued to emanate. A horde of monsters appeared together, causing Dojan to pause for a moment. He quickly bent forward, barely escaping with his life, still holding the magic stone tightly in his hand, causing him to decide to throw AT forcefully forward, quickly succeeding in killing a large monster. The remaining ones also began to tremble when they saw Dojan's confident eyes. The Gipiruv heroes was also on their way back. Then the girl in the Gipiruv suddenly felt worried. That unlucky guy from earlier. What if he really died? The man next to her complained. What is wrong? Are you worried about him? Another began to speculate. If he is really an illegal intruder, then by now, the gate control center must have sent agents. Namsan Gate is C-level, so there will be B-level or higher agents being dispatched. As long as he is not crazy enough to rush into the monsters first, he won't die. Do not worry. That rude brat is probably shaking like a leaf now, just waiting for the agents to come and save him. Another monster was struck by Dojan's heaven-sent punch. The monster rushing from behind him was also quickly detected. His blade churned up the earth and rocks. Dojan calmly flew from the air, then stomped hard on the head of another monster, killing AT on the spot. He held the blade firmly in his hand again, then confidently declared, 3 more magic stones. AT was the hottest time of day. Dojan continued his journey. In his head, he was still thinking, today's harvest is really disappointing. A total of 12 low grade, 16 mid-low grade so far. Then he was disturbed by a loud voice. This way. He turned his head to look back. Then he found 4 people wearing black clothes. Without letting him wait long, they took the initiative to speak. We are from the Gate Control Center. Please present your hero registration card. If you are not a registered hero, please come with me to the center. Seeing Dojan questioning, Gate Control Center. One of them emphasized, please cooperate and follow the instructions. He stared at them, then complained. Annoying, causing the whole them to order in a flurry. Please cooperate a little bit. Can you? If you do not follow the instructions, we can use coercive measures. Then he took handcuffs and went to Dojan. Dojan, just as his wrist was grabbed, received a word of advice. All injuries resulting from resistance will be entirely your responsibility. AT's best to come with us to the control center to resolve this peacefully. Unexpectedly, Dojan still decided to resist, causing the one who controlled him to have a pale face. Dojan loudly reminded, do not bother me anymore, just get lost. The remaining 2 began to lose patience, and decided to use weapons to deal with him, causing Dojan to recognize AT at a glance. 4th level magic seal. That kind of thing only works on orcs and below. He swung his hand and knocked down his opponent, along with a passionate declaration. This is the last warning. If you do not want to get hurt anymore, get lost. He continued to be cautious, using both hands to hold the weapons of the 2 who were rushing at him recklessly. The arm of the one who touched Dojan trembled painfully. Both were flipped backward by him. Their bodies quickly swayed, then fell to the ground. The remaining one, seeing this, stood stunned and stared at Dojan. His figure was clear, suddenly became blurred, causing him to constantly wonder. Disappeared. Then suddenly fell forward. Seeing him sitting cowering on the ground, Dojan excitedly called, "Oh, hey, registered heroes do not have any problems. Do they?" He received an answer from him. "Yes. As long as you do not commit any special illegal acts in the gate, there is no reason for the special them to be dispatched." Then he explained in detail about the rift area. It is a passage to another world, where strange monsters appear all Zuvite the world. The byproducts obtained through hunting monsters there are used as a new energy source. The government has completely sealed this passage and locked the monsters inside. That is the gate. And the areas that have not become gates are called rift areas. Dojan continued to ask, "No matter what gate AT is, people will come, right?" Then he mumbled about illegal intrusion and such. He also unhesitatingly confirmed, "Yes, that is right. If an unregistered hero enters the gate on their own, the system will automatically report to the control center and the agents on standby nearby will be dispatched immediately. Rift areas are not as easy to enter as gates. Even the Hero Association won't leave you alone." But Dojan replied with a calm attitude, "Is that so?" What else? Causing him to feel extremely confused. This guy is really crazy. Damn me. I should have reported to headquarters from the beginning. But before he could finish his train of thought, he was slapped hard, then somersaulted several times in the air before landing. Then Dojan felt extremely disappointed. "You are really a useless type," he shouted even while severely injured. "You bastard. Next time I will definitely kill you." Returning to the moment when the pendant shattered, the monster shouted helplessly, "No!" Amidst hearing his desperate screams, the blond man felt like he was being sucked into something and lost consciousness. Death? He thought that was death. The man's eyes were closed tightly, suddenly slowly opened. Then he realized he was floating in the air. Then he asked, "Anyone?" Causing Dojan to hastily reply, "My name is Dojan. I am about to die. If you help me, I will quietly disappear." But the straightforward answer, "Do not want to," which made Dojan feel a little disappointed. Seeing him silent and not answering, the man hurriedly added, "I have no attachment to this life anymore. 10 years of crazy fighting, only to be betrayed by my own comrades. The country I lived in collapsed. My loved ones all died, from friends to family. No matter how hard you try to live decently, in the end, life is just like this. Ties the same for you." Dojan hesitated for a moment and then frankly replied, "I do not care what my life is like, but I do not want Grandma and Unyang to live like that." The blond man sighed warily. "Get straight to the point. What do you want?" Dojan also decided to confess, "What I desire is at the Gasan Digital Complex, Jumcheon District, Seoul's special city. This place is now called the Hero Complex because the amount of byproduct transaction points earned from the gate is even more than AT companies." Dojan in ragged clothes was strolling down the street. Then he stopped at a magnificent place. "This place is good." The receptionist greeted him politely as soon as she saw him. "Welcome." Dojan quickly went straight to the point. "I want to sell some magic stones." The man quickly replied, "You have come to the right place. We buy magic stones at the highest prices, not only in Seoul but in all of Korea." As soon as he saw the pile of magic stones, the man's face turned pale. "Damn me. You should at least wipe off the blood before bringing them here." Then he hurriedly continued, "You have brought quite a lot here. Please wait a moment while we sort them. Please have some coffee while you wait." Dojan happily agreed. "Whatever." He sipped his coffee while paying attention to observe. The man counted the magic stones while muttering, "There are 12 low-grade magic stones, 16 mid-low grade, and 5 high mid-grade. You know the transaction fee is 40% of the purchase price, right? If we calculate AT, the total amount you will receive is 5,460,000 won." Before he could finish, Dojan shouted, "Stop. I hunt monsters, and you guys just sit here and buy them and take a transaction fee of 40%. The man smiled and replied, "Do not you know? Usually, we take 45%. We are reducing AT because you are a valued customer. You can take them back if you do not want to sell, but no matter where you go, no one will buy them for more than us." But when Dojan quickly gathered the magic stones, he was stopped by him. "Sir, you still have to pay the sorting fee. The coffee is not fakery either. The sorting fee is 300,000 won. The coffee is a light 10,000 won. But because the blood-wiping cloth dirtied the expensive cloth, we will add 35,000 won. So 8 is a total of 350,000 won." Dojan immediately responded by lightly exercising his muscles, "I do not have money. If you want to take a tea, just try." He decided to turn his face without fear. "You will have to pay." because we have some sea-level heroes backing us. This bastard. They quickly appeared right after that. The leader kept shouting, "What is going on? Another bastard causing trouble." Dojan turned his head to look back, which made the leader startled. The shop owner was scared to death. He hid behind the burly man. But Dojan only needed to punch him once for the man to fall backward. Before long, the floor was littered with people. At this time, he took a few steps. He said to the shop owner, "The commission is 1%. From now on, let us have smooth transactions." He also gave a threatening smile. Before leaving, Dojan said, "I will come again." A large stack of money was placed on the table. Yunong and Grandma stared in surprise. Grandma asked, "Dojan, what is this money?" He smiled apologetically. "Oh no, I lent some friends money to start a BuyDnet a few days ago, and their BuyDnet has been a great success." Grandma seemed suspicious. "Do you have such friends?" Dojan quickly made an excuse. "You know where I grew up. He is a friend I have known since then." Grandma replied, "Of course I know." Yunong excitedly said, "Brother, are we rich now?" Dojan patted her head. "Yes, we are rich." Hearing this, she jumped around the house. "Great, we are rich, we are rich." Dojan watched her. He silently recalled the words of that person, Grandma and Yunong. Please give them a home that is safer than anywhere else. Then he disappeared before he could answer. He pondered for a moment. When he woke up, he had become CEO Dojan. The safest house in Korea currently costs 110 billion won on the market. There is nothing forcing him to fulfill such a unilateral promise. But, as long as his strength returns, money is nothing. Rifts, gates, monsters, everything is here, weaker than his destroyed world. For a sword god like Dojan, this place is just a mosquito bite. But, his strength is not even a tenth of what AT was before. Just then, someone called, "Oh, is CEO Dojan here?" Dojan said to Grandma, "Let me go see, please stay here." Then he stepped. The door opened. There were two people outside. They came to demand payment. "CEO Dojan, you have to pay back the money you received on time." "Right. Do you know how much you have to pay?" "AT's 48 million won." He sighed. "This is the loan shark that the Ryu Dojan borrowed from before he died. The 5 million won in hospital bills for Grandma has increased tenfold in a short period of time." They began to threaten. "You earn money from the gate. Right? Give AT all here. AT's all according to the contract. So do not feel unfair." When he said this, Dojan swung his fist. He acted extremely quickly. A punch landed straight in the man's face. The other had not even had time to say anything. He looked in shock at his teammate falling to the ground. Dojan said coldly, "I have already paid more than 9 million won. Should not I be the one getting money back?" He trembled. "You? No way. Are you really CEO Dojan?" He did not answer him. "Just reminded. Go back and tell your boss that I will be visiting soon." As soon as he finished speaking, a thunderous punch appeared. Outside, the streets were bustling. Inside the shopping center, at a stall selling lots of stuffed animals, Yunyoung looked at them with bright eyes. "Can I really buy them? Can I buy a new doll?" Dojan replied, "Yes, we bought new clothes. So now you can buy whatever you want." He smiled slightly. When he shared his emotions with Dojan, these originally withered emotions had changed. AT's just compassion for now. But Seudon was also kind to the half-blooded sister. Yunyoung, at least he will protect this wish of his. At this time, Yunyoung brought a stuffed rabbit. "Brother, can I take this one?" Dojan looked at the cute rabbit. Then he unexpectedly brought a huge stuffed bear. He smiled. "I told you to take whatever you like." Yunyoung happily grinned. Then the two went to eat. The little girl ate deliciously. Suddenly someone called, "Oh, is that Dojan?" "AT's Dojan." He turned to look at the woman. She asked, "What is with this appearance? You are dressed so differently. And who are you sitting next to? Causing trouble like your mother again." This sentence made Dojan angry. The atmosphere became tense. Yuni only naively wondered, "Who is that?" Dojan was frighteningly silent. The woman did not say anything else either. Yunyoung was still eating and looking. Then she asked the little girl, "What is your name?" She replied, "Yunyoung." She sarcastically said, "Yunyoung, from the Yun family. Looking at these clothes, AT's as miserable as your mother." Then she glanced at Dojan. Right. Seeing him silent, she pressed on, What is wrong? Lost your tongue. Can't say anything. But she did not receive any answer. Then she switched her target to Yunyang. Hey, little girl, she asked. Do you know what a whore is? Dojan did not remain silent anymore. He said, you are as ugly as an orc. This sentence made her pause. She looked at Dojan. This person is an illegitimate child, grew up in poverty. When his mother died at the age of 7, his Ryu father brought him back. He had to endure decades of discrimination and contempt, and was completely abandoned after the legal wife gave birth to a son. Then he was kicked out of the house, living with his grandmother and the half-sibling he had never met. Remembering that poor boy, he wondered, see you, Dojan. How did you endure all that? But from now on AT will be different. He scolded the woman. Living with you for 12 years still makes me feel disgusted. Both your face and your sewer-like personality, plus your intellectually disabled brain, are hopeless. Jealous of girls who are prettier than you, feeling insecure and inferior all day long. She is not any better than a child who knows how to care about her brother's financial situation. The commotion here has attracted the attention of the entire restaurant. Dojan said everything he wanted to say. She got angry. What did you say? Just then, someone came. Dojan, long time no see. She ran to the woman. Mom. She cried, Mom, do you know what that bastard just said to me? 80 really is him, but Hiju interrupted. Enough. She scolded her. Do not be so boastful. Why are you acting so uneducated? She smiled. So Dojan, how have you been lately? No matter how busy you are, you should come home once in a while. Dojan cursed inwardly. Hypocrite. She was the one who tortured him the most for the past 12 years. Hiju continued, Dad is also very worried about you. He is getting sick. Dojan coldly replied. Do we have a relationship that requires us to check up on each other? His expression was extremely ugly. Get lost. Hiju was stunned and speechless. Then she left in a fit of pique. She wondered, is this the Seo Dojan I know? The kid who always bowed his head even when he was slapped for no reason. The daughter hurriedly followed. Mom, wait for me. Dojan looked at the two who had left. He called Yunyang. Let us go. Yunyang. The little girl obediently listened. Yes. He said to himself, the Seo Dojan who only remained silent when abused has disappeared. It's better to know your place. On the car. The daughter screamed. Mom, why did we leave? We should have smashed that bastard. Do you know what he said to me? He said. Hiju did not care. She called the bodyguard. Lee. She asked with a dark face. How is Dojan still alive? He replied. According to the report, Chiel Wu left Dojan in the rift. She shouted. That is right. Then why is that bastard who should have died still alive? Lee was horrified. I'm sorry. I will investigate again. The daughter was stunned. Should have died. What do you mean? Hiju remained silent. She shouted. What do you mean? She still did not speak. She went crazy. What the hell are you doing? Did you plan to kill Dojan? She asked directly. Do you still have feelings for Dojan? This sentence made her blush. She denied. It's not like that, if dad or father knew. Before she finished speaking, she was silenced by her. She said, this is a matter for me and my daughter to handle. Stay away. She was so scared that she was about to cry. Hiju cursed inwardly. Dare to challenge me, you lowly bastard. No matter what, I will make you disappear. 10 years ago, spatial rifts suddenly appeared. From then on, monsters poured like a flood, and humans were massacred in mass. The world quickly fell into chaos. But then, heroes appeared. It was they who pulled the world from the brink of destruction. At the same time, a series of strange materials were taken from the corpses of monsters. Magic stones. Back to reality. There is a gold car running smoothly on the road. Magic stones replace all energy sources, and countries flock to transform rifts into warp gates. And the world's industry revolves around gates and heroes. To put it bluntly, to make money in this world you must become a hero. Seo Dojan has arrived, standing in front of the headquarters of the Haze Gr Rup. Yangdongpo. He begins to stride. The scene in front of the headquarters is indeed quiet. Inside, there is a guy still smoking a cigarette. He and two of his companions asked, Who are you? When he saw Dojan entering, this guy put out the cigarette he was smoking and accused him. Dare to come here after smashing my people. When he sat down, he said he was still at a loss. When Dojan said that, the guy could not believe it. He said he wanted compensation for everything, for all the damage these people caused, and the big guy was dumbfounded when he heard that. He thought, seeing that the docile boy from the past was no longer there, looking at the way Dojan dealt with his subordinates. Then looking at him, he guessed that he must have awakened in the gate. This guy leaned close to his face and threatened, "Want to tell me what happened to those awakened people who boosted loudly?" After he said that, two tall, muscular guys suddenly appeared in the room. They also approached behind the boss, standing in front of Dojan. The big guy picked up his coat and told him, "There are many who are proud after awakening, but they are just D rank." Song boasted that he had a hold rank under his command and put on his coat and left, leaving Dojan with the tall subordinates. He was still silent and did not say anything. But then he shouted, "Sit down," to his surprise. Dojan with a gloomy face shouted that he had not finished speaking. This guy rushed straight at him, because he saw Dojan being rude to him. Suddenly, he was very surprised when he was held by his glasses. Then a punch straight into his face, to the astonishment of his subordinates. One punch from Dojan sent him flying backwards, and the others were still in shock. He asked, "You do not just lend money at high interest rates, right?" Song continued to punch another guy. Then another guy was also beaten. He said he knew they were making fake documents. Dojan said his request, "If I want to make money, I need a hero it." While he was bleeding, he rushed to deal with the other guy, when he intended to fight back. But then he was also punched by Dojan. Those guys who were arrogant just now were now all beaten down by him. Dojan continued his request from earlier about the ed, "Make me a clean one, without leaving any trouble." The big guy was sweating when he heard him say, "The fight lay is tomorrow morning." All the subordinates were also afraid when they heard that. The leader's head speculated, "Dojan is not a C rank. D rank, maybe he is B rank." When he was asked, "Are you not answering?" Then he obediently said, "I can handle it." Dojan moved closer to him and said, "There is one more thing." With a murderous expression, he asked, "Did Hong Heju tell you to deal with me?" The man was terrified as he recalled the woman's back. He gripped him tighter, as he still refused to speak. The man cried "Oh" in pain, and his subordinate watched helplessly. The others, seeing their boss like that, were also consumed by fear, silently listening as their boss confessed it was her. Hong Heju. In pain, the man confessed. Her goal was to drown Dojan in debt until he committed suicide, then begged him to let him go. He remained calm, hearing the man's plea. When he released him, he continued to ask, "Suicide? So that is why she locked me in the gate?" The boss trembled and replied, "I swear I know nothing about him being locked in the gate." Then he continuously pleaded and explained that he gained nothing from Dojan's death, so he wanted him to believe he did not do it. Hearing that, he pondered deeply. Then he called Chiel Wu. He obediently listened when Dojan wanted to know all the information about the person who pushed him into the gate. The entire loan shark Rupi bowed respectfully when seeing him off. By this time, he was outside. Pondering something, he was recalling Dojan's actual request, which was simply to keep his grandmother and Yunyong safe. Dojan currently told himself, "All right, I will help you." The next day, Dojan held an ID card in his hand. He raised the gate's scanner and received the notification, "Hero registration card verified. Your level is lower than the recommended level." While the system was still warning him to be careful when entering, Dojan muttered a curse, wondering why they had not raised him to rank A. The system continuously warned him about his level, but he still proceeded inside. Upon entering the Bamzian gate, he learned its information. 8 is not allowed to enter unless in a Jeep Rup of 2 or more. 8 is a B rank 8 but D scale, so solo play is quite difficult. But due to its tunnel-like structure, 8 only allows single entry, and if one does not achieve at least rank, overcoming the gate seems impossible. As he walked, Dojan thought, "If I am really unlucky, I will have to fight hundreds of monsters alone in the pitch-black tunnel." He had just finished thinking this when a fierce serpent monster appeared before him. Dojan prepared to use his skill. Feeling great, the monster opened its wide mouth filled with venom, striking him with its tongue weapon. Dojan reacted very quickly, running up and crushing the weak point crystal on its body. The serpent monster screamed in pain. He looked at the monster and recognized it as a black-fanged serpent, a venomous snake, a mere graze from which could paralyze the body. Then he continued his mission to eliminate the monster. With lightning-fast lunges, the snake was being tortured by Dojan, blood gushing from its body. Finally, A decisive blow from him split the monster in half. He felt relieved, seeing that the snake's venom had no effect on his glove. He felt AAT was worth the 300,000 won. Suddenly, Dojan's eyes perceived something. Looking UV, he saw a whole swarm of venomous snakes, similar to the previous one. Approaching him, another one was instantly dispatched by his claws. And so, another monster was added to the count, dying at his hands. The venom from the snakes sprayed everywhere. At this point, Dojan alone had annihilated all of these serpent monsters. He poked one of the monsters with his clawed glove, but AT had no veins. He tried with several others, also finding none. He recalled that in the previous world, the drop rate for magic stones from Black Fang serpents was 3%. As he passed through another gate, Dojan thought, I will have to hunt a few hundred more. As he stepped into another area, the sight before him was a pile of skeletons. He looked at a skeleton radiating black aura. Dojan also wondered, is that the boss? Then, a higher-level serpent monster than before appeared in front of him. Since he did not know which way to go, he found it convenient to encounter AT here. So he dropped his backpack and prepared to fight. Then Dojan lunged at the monster, wanting to finish AT quickly and return. When his attack was unleashed, he was stunned. Looking at the dent made by his fist on the snake, he realized AT was ineffective. Suddenly, the monster swung its body towards Dojan. AT threw him far away with great force. Dojan was knocked down, deforming the Rish. The serpent monster continued to open its mouth towards him. AT intended to bite Dojan whole. But fortunately, he reacted quickly enough to dodge. He took a run up, leaping high into the air, to deliver a punch directly to the body of the venomous snake. Just as expected, completely different from the previous snakes, its skin was so hard that punches had no effect. He also did not know what to do. If he wanted to regain his strength, these things were mere small fries. Suddenly, Dojan was surprised once more. Looking down at the sword stuck near his foot, he also did not know. Is this? But then he had to grudgingly accept A. He pulled of the sword. Even if IT was old, AT did not matter, as AT depended on the strength of the wielder. Holding this chipped sword in his hand, standing before the venomous snake, he said, "Let me borrow this for a bit." Then, with lightning speed, Dojan charged towards the snake, holding the sword. He was serious, thinking, "It's an honor for this damn snake to fall by my hand." The crude sword was clutched tightly in his hand. Afterward, an attack made the snake scream in agony. When he slashed the monster, the sword glowed with a dazzling aura. Having just delivered a critical blow, the sword in his hand also fell apart. Dojan sighed, looking at the sword. If I had not taken Ada down with that blow, I would be screwed. He looked at the snake, then did something that sent venom flying everywhere. In his hand, he held something retrieved from the snake, a bit shorter than a sword, but usable after sharpening AT a bit. Dojan also felt better. At least he got more than from the Namsen gate. When he came AT was already evening. He had not expected a B-rank gate to take so much time. Dojan firmly asserted, "Restoring my strength is truly the top priority right now." He imagined his old teammates, only hoping his old comrades would not see him in such a pathetic state. Another day, at some festival, a man was selling red stones he had collected from hunting monsters. The stall owner also praised him for gathering quite a lot of magic crystals, with the profit still at 40%. The seller of the magic stones thought the price was too high and wanted the owner to give him a small discount since he was a regular customer. The stall owner took a stack of money and said his place was already cheap. The processing was quick, and he did not have to pay taxes. When he had counted enough money, he handed AT to the seller, saying, "Doing Baidinet this way, you are making a profit." Hearing that, the man took the money and felt AT was true. Then he asked, "What happened to your face?" Shop owner. But he did not want to say, helplessly recounting how someone had burst into the gate and beaten the guards. And he too had been beaten. The customer who had just completed the transaction also said, "A's true. You should not look at rank, but at actual strength. AT's truly different." He continued to philosophize. Those Dung guards are no match for a hero who hunts monsters every day. The shop owner then chased him away for talking too much. He was about to leave, but still happily said they had known each other for a long time, so he could call him if anything happened. The footsteps of two strangers brushed past each other. Dojan arrived in front of the stall where the transaction had just taken place. The injured shop owner dimly recognized him. Then he yelled loudly, "Dojan is the one who did this to me." The customer who had not yet left the shop was also surprised that such a handsome young man would cause trouble here. He turned back, preparing for a fight, and asked Dojan, "You call yourself a hero, but you do not know not to lay a hand on civilians." The battered shop owner smugly thought, the person who beat him is a veteran hero, widely connected with other heroes, and messing with him won't end well. Dojan spoke to the bragging man, "Mind your own bidinut before lecturing others." The two standing there were very surprised to hear that. He continued to ask, "Or are you planning to seek revenge for them?" The veteran hero clenched his fist and asked him, "Do you want to die?" But in his mind, he was deeply worried about the seriousness of causing trouble with another hero, which would be fatal. His 7 years of instinct kicked into escape met. So then he also said, "See you later," fabricating an excuse that he had to leave, under the gaze of Dojan and the shop owner. At this moment, he glared with killing intent, making the man silent. Then he tremblingly asked, "You do not seem to like me, do you?" Suddenly, Dojan threw a backpack full of magic stones at him. As the man looked at the overflowing backpack, he heard Dojan call, "Oh, calculate the price." The high-grade magic stones were too dazzling, making him wonder who this young man was. Then, he took a calculator to tally the amount. All the magic stones Dojan brought were calculated by him, totaling 150 million won. He complained that he had worked all day for only 150 million won and held out his hand for the money. His expression was full of killing intent when he heard the owner mention commission, which made the man scared, unsure what he had said wrong. Dojan sighed and said the commission was 1%, demanding the remaining 148.5 million won. The shop owner was furious and could not believe it, as the commission was 40%. But that was just his imagination. In reality, he said, transactions Zuva of 100 million require approval from upper management. Dojan's expression darkened as he ordered, "Go get approval from your superior right now." The seller immediately called his boss and recounted everything. Then, he was very surprised when Dojan snatched the phone he was talking on. Once he had the phone, he said, "Did you hear that clearly? Tell him to transfer the money to me." The boss said he understood and told him to give the phone back to his employee. Then, he threw the phone, denting the wall. To the bewilderment of the sales employee, Dojan continued to demand money. And the man looked at the phone that had just been thrown with fear. Then he obediently complied and opened a safe full of money. He walked out to the gate, carrying several bags of money, not forgetting to instruct, "Next time, let us conduct bidinut civilly." The seller was helpless, as aid only benefited one side. 10 minutes later, someone arrived at the shop. Another man walked in and asked him why he was not answering the phone and what that call earlier was about. Seeing the crack in the phone on the wall and the employee's resignation request, the man was confused. He stared intently at the phone stuck in the wall and listened to the employee's lament. The boss suddenly went silent. Thinking something, the sales employee also looked at his boss, not understanding anything. Then he picked up the phone and called, "Jayan, AT's your uncle. I need you to come UV for a bit." Jayan, walking down the street, had answered her uncle's call. Her footsteps continued on the crowded street. Everyone here recognized her as Hyan Jayan and took out their phones to film and take pictures furiously. Suddenly, her steps stopped at one spot. AT was the shop where Dojan had just traded magic stones. When Jian entered, the employee welcomed the customer. The sales employee from earlier was startled to recognize her. Hyan Jian took off her glasses and confirmed, "AT's me." The employee thought in astonishment about her, the 4th rank hero of Korea, and although he heard Jian was the boss's niece, he did not understand why she was here. She took off her jacket and explained her purpose for coming. Her uncle had mentioned a hero forcing them to sell magic stones. After sitting down in a stylish pose, she asked to hear the detailed des to Rai. The scene shifted to Dojan's yard, where the two siblings were. He was meditating in the yard, while his younger sister Yang was playing with a stuffed animal. Dojan pondered, even hunting all day, AT's hard to earn 100 million. At this rate, AT will be too late. He had to be strong enough to hunt's rank gates, even if IT was just one day earlier. To do that, the most important thing now was to regain his former strength. However, unlike the old world, mana in the air here was very scarce. Even after collecting for many years, he still had to try harder. AT would be better if he had good enough equipment. But here, there was not even any miscellaneous stuff. While Dojan was still concentrating on his thoughts, his younger sister, playing with a teddy bear, also noticed something. Then he picked up his sister and said, "Yang, You have to go inside the house. He quickly pushed the little girl into the house. To her bewilderment, the siblings' grandmother heard the commotion and looked asking Dojan what was happening. When she saw everything shaking violently, their grandmother screamed, "Earthquake!" He held his sister tightly as she screamed in fear. Dojan speculated, "That is not an earthquake. This could be..." Outside, the sky was cracking, and Ada slowly spread to more cracks. In his mind, he was still thinking, "That is a rift." While his grandmother and sister were still confused about what was happening, he rushed outside, shouting, "80's dangerous, everyone stay inside." Then, Dojan punched straight into the rift, to the cries of his grandmother and sister calling his name. On the side of the Hero Association of Chiel, in the technical data room, someone informed the theme leader, "A rift has just been detected in Mapho. A2 is a new rift after 63 days. The theme leader ordered, "Contact the White Lion Guild closest to Mapho and quickly dispatch other heroes there." When he asked for the location of the rift, the technical staff replied, "AT's in the yard of a private residence." Hearing that, he felt it was troublesome. If a non-hero entered there, they would not be able to get O. He also thought with a headache, AT would be even worse if they lost their lives. A wave of monsters, lasting for 10 days in the rift area. If that happens, Su will be ravaged by monsters. They identified the person who entered the rift as Dojan. His grandmother said he went in to save his sister. When the theme leader asked how likely AT was for monsters to appear if a non-hero entered, the staff member remained silent. Sweating, the predicted number displayed was 99.9%. All the staff in the technical room at this moment felt exhausted. Then, a stack of documents was thrown heavily onto the table. Ong Hiju was very surprised to hear someone say Dojan had awakened. Her subordinate nervously reported, "Although he has not registered with the Hero Association, he definitely awakened at the gate last time." The bodyguard also broke in a sweat, hearing Hong Hiju yell, "What the hell is Kang Chiel Wu doing?" She furiously slammed the table and shouted, if he had handled Dojan himself, everything would not be complicated. And that guy already took the money. Ong Hiju told manager Lee to inform Kang Chiel Wu that if he could not deal with him, the money would be returned tenfold. When she heard the manager say he did not need to contact that guy, she still did not understand the manager's meaning. He then talked about a rift appearing in Dojan's house in Mapho. And the news he heard was that he had entered inside. This news would soon be announced in the media. Ong Hiju heard that and said, "We won't have to see him again. Will we?" And the manager confirmed it. Her expression became thoughtful. Then she ordered him to keep an eye on AT until everything was certain. Elsewhere, someone was standing in a forest. Dojan had entered this place. Around him were many large trees. He looked up at this place, unable to believe it. Recalling memories. This was Padisua Forest, where he often went as a child. The shape of the forest, every artifact here, the abundant mana in the air, even the shape of the sky and clouds were special. He thought, if I go this way. Upon entering, Dojan was delighted to find he was right. Eta was the super enormous world tree. At this moment, he was sitting on one side, admiring it. He approached it, feeling it, an ancient spirit tree holding a pure flow of mana. The reason the previous world was destroyed was because this tree was burned, and the flow of mana was ruined. Touching its roots, he could not believe the world tree was still peaceful. I do not know how, but now Don can regain his former mana. He walked straight into the world tree to absorb its immense mana. Sitting and absorbing within the world tree for a while, Dojan continuously inhaled and exhaled very evenly. The mana source was still being absorbed by him. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days inside. Forgetting to eat and sleep, 10 days completely focused on breathing. One evening, Dojan was still breathing to absorb ma. Suddenly, he was astonished to discover something. Horrifying volcanoes had appeared near the tree. He looked at them and realized they were the ones who burned the world tree in the past. The volcanoes were trying to jump up to where he was standing on the world tree. In Dojan's mind, he was still thinking, "It would be better if I had a water elemental sword." As they ferociously charged towards him, "The weapon does not matter anymore, because I will see uproot them down to the last one." At this moment, Dojan used water power to strike them, making one monster cry in pain, clutching its head. His eyes were now bright, as if he had lost his mind. The monsters, seeing their comrade injured, growled in anger. They climbed directly onto the world tree, right opposite Dojan. When he unleashed mana to strike the monsters, the mana condensed and released as gas. then exploded. He also felt a little breathless, as it had been a long time since he released so much mana in one go. There were still other volcanoes with open mouths, ready to attack. They shot out purple lightning bolts directly at Dojan. But fortunately, he was strong enough to block these attacks. The two sources of power clashed, creating thick smoke. His body, with abundant mana, flew into the air, confirming that the world tree was still safe. The money in his body was now being tested a little with his eyes. Dojan still stood, watching the volcano slowly climb the tree. One opened its mouth, revealing sharp teeth. Then he directly used his hand, putting AT straight into the monster's mouth. The monster was being overwhelmed by his power. Then came a powerful explosion. AT was now being burned alive by purple flames, and only half of its charred body remained. A magic stone fellow of the volcano. Having completed the confirmation, Dojan walked straight to where they were standing. He gave a sinister smile and said, "As soon as I am done with you guys, I will obtain the immortal cinders." Standing amidst the monsters, Dojan remembered they had a quite high drop rate and needed to see how much he could harvest from them. At first, he only used one hand to fight them. Then, both hands were used, turning them charred black, after he had eliminated all the volcanoes. Among the magic stones that dropped from them, there was a gleaming golden particle. Dojan approached to pick up this item. Holding AT in his hand, he guessed this was the immortal cinders. Then he clutched AT tightly. Overjoyed, "I can't believe I got this again." Dojan's hand opened, allowing its power to flow. His two hands slowly placed onto AT. He wanted to absorb more Ma from the world tree, but with his current physical condition, that was impossible. What he could do at this moment was to absorb these embers and convert his own mana to the fire attribute. Dojan was using his own body to absorb the embers. He remembered he did not need to absorb them back then, but now it took him a full 10 minutes just to absorb one. Then he swung his hand back and forth again. Looking down at the ground, many magic stones and embers lay at his feet. Dojan thought to himself, "I will absorb as much as I can then." People were gathered in front of the newly appeared rift gate. Everyone was incredibly surprised. Reporters and police were also at the scene to gather information. A man angrily gnashed his teeth and cursed. "Damn A." Bang Seung-woo grumbled irritably. "It is all because of that lunatic. What in the world is going on?" Kim Hyun-woo propped his hand and looked at his watch. Replying, he said he did it to save his sister. The rift grew larger and larger. Seung-woo irritably scoffed. "Sounds noble. Does not aid. I heard it is easy to awaken in a rift, and he just rushed in without thinking about anyone. If he wants to die, he should die alone. Why drag others into AT?" Hyun-woo asked. "So, what did the guild master say?" Seung-woo replied with a grimace. "Same as always. Told us to just wait." Seung-woo wondered. "But why?" Hyun-woo explained. "The possibility this time is due to rifts appearing consecutively in the US, China, Turkey, and Switzerland." Seung-woo seemed to understand and said, That is probably why the guild master is busy. This is the first time something like this has happened." He continued, "And I heard they controlled IT from the start UVP there." His face wrinkled in criticism. "Only we are having trouble. It is all because of that bastard." This left Hyun-woo feeling helpless. Seung-woo clenched his fist and cursed. "That first guy who cursed in there, I will smash his face. Just you wait." The image of the giant rift. AT had been 28 days since the new rift appeared, and the Hero Association issued a level 1 warning about a monster wave. Someone had entered the rift. If the first civilian to enter, Heroes, did not return within the next 2 days, someone turned off the TV notification after hearing AT. A Huang Changxi puffed on his cigarette and said, "You mean that Dojan guy is Heroes?" Ungju reported, "Yes, I have had people confirm AT's definitely Dojan." Changxiup listened and asked, "What do you think the chances are of that guy coming back alive?" He replied casually, "If he is a civilian, then no need to say, about 1%. No, less than 0.1%. He smirked, "A mere civilian. How ridiculous. Looking at the reap of injured people." He scoffed, "Those people in the Hero Association are truly blind to information." He wondered, what if that guy awakened? Director Kim evaluated. If he awakened, then we would have to see what rank he is. To be honest, AT's hard to assess. Changxiup agreed, "That is true. Being good at fighting does not mean you can survive in a rift." He suddenly pressed, "That Dojan guy seems to have relatives. Right?" Keep them, which surprised the employee. He wondered, "What are you planning?" "Sir," he casually said. "For now, just treat them kindly." Chang Seep's expression became sinister with malicious intent. "If he dies, we will sell his family's organs. If he comes back alive, we will say we took care of them, thereby creating a debt." The scene shifts to a place that was incredibly green and cool. The world tree was still thriving. Dojan was still absorbing the immortal cinders and thinking, "How long has 80 been?" He looked at his hands and mused. "Immortal cinders. I have absorbed hundreds of them." His hand created fire that enveloped his palm. He was sure, "Now I can use fire mana anytime, and my fire resistance has also greatly increased." Dojan speculated, "If I only consider the fire attribute, I am even stronger than when I was at my peak." Called the sword god. He touched the world tree. Pondering, he felt that, back then and now, looking at the world tree, he was grateful. "Thank you, world tree." Then he took a basket and collected all the red mana stones. He slung ATUV his shoulder and said goodbye. "Perhaps I will not see you again." Dojan's eyes were firm. "But if you are in danger," the world tree was full of vitality. He turned and walked away, declaring his promise. "Then I will protect you at all costs." Arriving at the destination, the sky had begun to darken. The moonlight illuminated the sky with twinkling stars. Dojan slowly stepped out of the rift. He walked outside. He looked around. Judging, there is no one within a 1-kilometer radius. Everyone must have been evacuated in preparation for the monster wave. His gaze turned towards the house on the other side. He noticed a rather strong aura from that direction. Dojan quickly rushed to Vish. He hid behind a wall and peered out, observing Xiongwu and Heinwu. His expression was puzzled, and he quietly judged. Judging by their uniforms, they seemed to be the people from the last gate. "If I am caught, I will be in trouble." Dojan activated his fire energy. Then he decisively threw several fireballs. They headed towards a building. Next to AT was a blue sign with text. The fireballs created a large explosion, immediately attracting the attention of the two men. Heinwu exclaimed in alarm, "What was that? What was that sound?" Songwu looked towards the flames and wondered, "Fire. Is there a fire?" The two quickly went to investigate. The fire had engulfed the building. Civilians were already present, and Heinwu rushed to VH. The two had surprised expressions. Songwu confusedly said, "What happened? Why is there a fire here?" Dojan quietly felt relieved. "The accuracy of my fire attribute targeting is quite good." He looked at his hand and thought, "Kusak, is not this the flame you were once proud to create?" His past self appeared in his mind. He would surely be satisfied, as he was the strongest fire mage on the continent. Heinwu seemed to sense something. He exclaimed in surprise, "Wait a minute," leaving Xiongwu with a bewildered expression. Heinwu looked towards the rift and said, "There is something strange about the rift." Xiongwu replied, "What?" Aita was gradually disappearing. The two quickly ran towards Aitai. Both were dumbfounded. "What?" "The rift." Xiongwu's eyes widened. "Aitis!" he shouted. Aitis disappearing. Dojan was walking up the stairs. He turned and glanced towards the rift. The scene shifts to a place with modern high-rise buildings and busy traffic, with an announcement. Breaking news. The new rift that appeared in Mapo has disappeared early this morning. A large screen on the building displayed a reporter presenting the event. Today marks exactly 29 days since civilians entered the rift. The Hero Association, which had prepared to deal with a monster wave, was completely surprised by this strange phenomenon and is currently investigating the cause. People on the street listened, and at the same time, a mysterious fire broke out at a scrapyard near the rift area. People whispered and chatted. That guy Names also disappeared since entering the rift, did not he? Someone scoffed, he deserves to die. Who in their right mind would rush into a rift just as IT appears? Dojan walked past, quietly listening to the gossip. He glanced sharply. The two men continued their lively discussion. Dojan walked in thought. If IT disappears, will I not see the world tree again? AT's a shame, but maybe AT's better this way. He adjusted his hat and looked up at the clear blue sky. Besides, I also have something I need to protect. He was standing in front of a ruined building. Two men were smoking and chatting. The dark-haired man sneered. Now that guy's dead, the old woman and that girl will soon be finished too. The gray-haired man agreed. That is right, our boss is not an ordinary person. He will at least be able to get 10 times more from them. The dark-haired man's expression was sinister with malicious intent. Let us not even talk about the old woman. But that girl will surely be pretty when she grows up. The boss is probably planning all sorts of ways to exploit her. Suddenly, a voice called "Oh," drawing the two men's attention. Siu Dojan's eyes seemed to want to devour them alive, and he growled, "Where's your boss?" A car suddenly stopped by the side of the road. Huang Chengxiep stepped out of the car. He casually ran his hand through his hair. A smirk played at the corner of his mouth. "Finally, he is dead. Now I can sleep peacefully," he asked. "Manager Kim, do I have any appointments today?" The manager flipped through his notebook and replied, "Sir, you have a lunch appointment with Seo Beck. Nothing scheduled for the evening yet." Changseep adjusted his glasses and instructed, "All right then. Contact Mess Kang and tell her I will be Zhu Veep tonight. Tell them to properly prepare some new girls." Manager Kim immediately replied, "Yes, sir." He and the manager walked up the stairs, and his gaze suddenly stopped. Before him was the sight of his subordinates being utterly thrashed. Changseep's face turned pale at this sight. Then he was also knocked aside. He looked at Seo Dojan in confusion. He glared and commanded, "Are not you going to come here and crawl like a dog?" He trembled all Lu Vi. He sat down in a chair with his legs crossed on the table. He threatened, "Are you diff?" making the man's face turn green. He was crawling on his hands and knees towards Seo Dojan. He sat casually with his arms crossed and legs propped up, watching an interesting scene. His face darkened as he commanded, "Bark! A bastard like you does not deserve to be considered human." He yelled loudly, "Bark like a dog now," making the man not dare to utter a single word. He pulled a chair closer. The man barked in fear. The two subordinates, with their faces to the wall, felt terrified. Seo Dojan approached him but was still not appeased. "Bark even louder." He angrily questioned, "In front of me, you grovel and feign loyalty as if you are about to offer honey. But as soon as you see a slight opening, you stab me in the back." He glared and warned, "Huang Changseep, do you think I have never dealt with types like you?" The man fearfully bowed his head, pleading, Please spare my life. I will be loyal to you like a dog for the rest of my life." He kicked him in the face and said, "Shut up." The man lay sprawling, looking utterly pathetic. Youngju was noticed by Seo Dojan. "Hey, glasses," making him jump. He sighed, "From now on, you will be the boss. Do not grovel like a dog for a beast like this anymore." Looking at the man lying prostrate on the floor, he continued, "Overthrowing your superior is not a big deal for you guys, is it? I permit 80. Go ahead and do AT. After hearing that, his expression turned resigned. He bowed 90 degrees, politely refusing. "My boss has many widespread connections. If I suddenly became the boss, they would find AT strange." He spoke with a trembling voice. "So please, do not do this. Please spare my boss this one time." He lost patience. "Why are you so troublesome?" Seo Dojan growled, repeating the matter. "Are not you the ones who specialize in putting people in barrels and throwing them into the sea, or crushing them in the scrapyard?" He threatened, "If that is the case, I will throw him into the gate as monster bait." The two subordinates and Eungju broke into a cold sweat hearing that. Changseep, on the other hand, was terrified to the extreme. He bowed and continued to repeat his previous plea for his life. He continuously begged, "I beg you." He thought warily, dealing with Huang Changseep now would be cleaner and less troublesome later. But then he sighed and said, "Am I going soft?" He extended his hand, leaving the man bewildered. Changseep seemed to see a ray of hope and brightened. He trembled and took it with both hands, saying, "I apologize for everything I have done. From now on, I will consider you my master." Suddenly, he felt something. Changseep was surprised to see his hand burning. He screamed in pain. His eyes reflected the man, and he warned, "This is your last chance." He flicked the man's arm away. His hand had been burnt black to ash. Then he turned and walked away. Changseep, on the other hand, clutched his severed arm in despair. He turned back to remind him, "From now on, if my family has even a single scratch, all of you will die. So protect them properly, 24 hours a day until the end of your lives." Then he slammed the door shut. It was rumored that the government stated Dojan was a person who disappeared with the rift. In a food shop, Eunyoung was engrossed in eating cake, while Seo Dojan scrolled on his phone. Reading information, the government and the Hero Association, and all types of media. He concentrated as he read, have all considered Dojan as dead. He turned off his phone and thought to himself, even if I say I survived and returned, it would only cause more trouble. He was happy to see his sister eagerly eating, as if he had a plan. Huang Changsip will soon find us a new house, so it's better to move slowly. Watching the little girl happily enjoy her cake, Eunyoung smiled and said, I am so happy we are moving soon. Siu Dojan considered. Now you can go to kindergarten like other children, and next year you will even go to school. After hearing that, the little girl suddenly looked downcast. Seeing her expression, he was startled and wondered, what is wrong? You do not want to go to kindergarten? The little girl whimpered. Yes, sir. He froze when he heard her say, the other kids just tease me because I do not have parents. He was speechless after hearing that. Looking at the innocent little girl, he said heartbroken, He's okay. Then you do not have to go anywhere. You do not even have to meet those kids. Next year, you can just go straight to school. Eunyoung eagerly replied. Really? So I do not have to go to kindergarten anymore? He helplessly replied. Yeah, do not go. The little girl continued to eat happily, while he frowned uncomfortably. Should I enroll her in a prestigious private school so no one can look down on her? Upon arriving at the hotel, Siu Dojan unexpectedly asked, What? Leaving an old woman and a child at a hotel? He questioned. Are you guys okay? Eungju stammered in fear. This hotel is managed by our company. In terms of safety. Well, before he could finish, he replied, All right, fine. Seeing his grandmother and his little sister safe, Eunyoung saw Dojan and called Brother. The little girl ran her voice sweet, and hugged him tightly. Surprising him, his grandmother moved, held his hand. Dojan, you have really come back. The little girl also had tears in her eyes. His expression was a bit confused, seeing how much his grandmother and sister loved him. Then he calmly replied, Yes, I am back. Eunyoung innocently asked, Brother, are you a hero too? He asked back, Why? Do you want me to be a hero? The little girl casually replied, No, I would rather you were not a hero. He wondered, why? In her imagination, she thought, because heroes have to fight scary monsters and sometimes lose their lives. The image of a happy family of 3, his grandmother and sister. The little girl expressed her wish. We just want you to live with us for a very long time. He stopped short after hearing that. But then he did not know what else to say. The little girl called, but he did not answer, and her words were deeply etched in his mind. He recalled that even in the harsh world of the past, there were people who survived until the very end, throughout the long period of fighting monsters. But now there was a precious thing he had once forgotten. Happy memories of his grandmother and sister, who worried about him wholeheartedly. He felt that in this place, he would live to protect that simple happiness. The scene of bright buildings and helicopters flying. At a high-rise building that housed the Korean Hero Association, someone's figure was reflected in the glass. Inquiring, We really can't find anything. He was Na Taewong, the founder of the Korean Hero Association and the director of the World Hero Federation. The female employee bowed and reported, No, sir. Currently, we cannot determine anything. I sincerely apologize, sir. He looked into the distance and replied, How annoying. If the rift can disappear suddenly, it can also reappear suddenly at any time. She carefully said, Yes, such a variable is truly dangerous. If IT created a monster wave, it would be easier to handle. He reminded her, Watch your mouth. He glared and warned, Think about the safety of the citizens and be grateful that AT has not gone that far yet. She admitted her mistake and promised to be more careful with her words. Na Taewong was one of the 100 respected heroes. If he ran for president, he would surely receive record-high votes. People even said that if he wanted to, he could take down conglomerates. But he cared not about politics or power, but about the safety of the citizens and preparation for rifts. Na Taewong reminded her, Take your time, but you must investigate thoroughly. The employee replied, Understood. And added, Also, it seems the residents of the house near the rift area have agreed to sell their property. Sir, he was interested. Oh, is that so? That is good. He clearly instructed. You must pay more than the market value and not let them suffer losses. If money brings comfort to the deceased, it is not worth much. Na Taewong went to the computer. His face was pensive as he looked at the screen. He mused, This rift appeared simultaneously in other countries as well. This is not normal at all. The employee wondered, Did not the US in China already handle AT? He interrupted, The problem is England. He replied thoughtfully, All the good heroes have been dispatched to other countries. Suddenly, A notification appeared. Natiwang's eyes widened in surprise. No way. What the hell is going on? Reading the news board that the rift in England was getting worse. He shouted. The rift in England, along with many emergency warnings. At a place where people were bustling about. Dojan nonchalantly walked through the crowd. He arrived at a shop, then opened the door and went in. The polite employee greeted him. He screamed as if seeing a ghost when he saw Dojan approaching. He stammered. Manager. That guy. Ate him. At this moment, Dojan was glancing at the manager. He folded the newspaper he was reading and said, So AT's this person. He stood up and asked in a low voice, Is AT you? The one who forced the sale of mina crystals when I was absent. In his hand, he carried a bag of magic stones and casually said, Good. Today I have a lot of mina crystals to sell, and I need someone in charge to handle AT quickly. He threw the bag down. The manager secretly judged. Looks like he still brought a bunch of low-grade, unprocessed stones like last time. He flatly refused. I won't do buy D-net with you. Please leave. He wondered, not doing buy D-net. He impatiently waved his hand to dismiss him. It seems you still do not understand. A 1% commission causes me heavy losses. I won't do buy D-net with you anymore, so AT's best to take them back. He grinned. You will regret AT. He slapped his forehead and sighed. Talking to you really gets nowhere. But just so you know, even the gate center charges a 5% fee for a reason. The distribution structure of mana crystals is not as simple as you think. He turned his face. Looking furious. Forget AT. Grab your bag and get out of my sight, and never come back. He approached the bag again. Then he kicked AT onto the floor, spilling a pile of red magic stones. The employee's face was stunned. The manager's eyes widened in astonishment at the sight of the stones. His thoughts were in a jumble. Wait, are not those hero mana crystals? Rumor has IT people will pay any price for them. Why are they here? He crossed his arms and confidently said, If you do not need them, I will leave. This red stone, with a turquoise stone in the center, was a hero mana crystal, the notorious drug lord Carmen in Mexico. While analyzing quartz to make drugs, during the manufacturing process, the magic stone unexpectedly exploded. He activated the hidden power within the stone and awakened as a hero. From then on, this type of stone became famous as an essential material for awakening and strengthening power. Hero magic stones became a sought-after item in the superhuman world. Looking at the sparkling pile of stones, the two men gaped. Ada was both a rare energy source and an extremely expensive commodity. The two men stood rooted to the spot, while he reminded them, Put them away, and I will leave immediately. The manager immediately changed his attitude and politely greeted him. Esteemed customer, would you mind waiting for a moment? The employee meticulously cleaned these rare precious stones. He leisurely drank water. The manager sweetly called, Esteemed customer. He conceded, I think a 0.5% fee is a bit excessive. He heard that and was displeased. If you do not like AT, then forget AT. The manager stammered. Defending himself, It is not that I do not like AT. I am just curious. He cautiously asked, Why did ATA change to 0.5%? He replied curtly, Because I was annoyed. Hearing that, his face turned pale, and he bowed. I am truly sorry. I was too rude. He glared and subtly reminded him, I have heard many apologies. Now, I just need to know if you will adjust the fee. Seeing his manager kneeling and pleading, the employee thought to himself, That stubborn fool, truly no manners at all. He looked up and said, All right then. He started a long explanation about magic stones and profit fees. He lost patience, too long-winded. He turned indifferently and walked away. If you do not like AT, then forget AT. The manager frantically yelled, We are truly taking a loss to offer this rate. He replied, Then do not take a loss. The manager continued to lower the price. 8%. The chairman will kill me if he finds O, he calmly said. Then do not let him find O. The two argued back and forth. The employee showed a helpless expression at this scene. He collapsed to his knees. Looking dejected, he boldly decided for himself, For old time's sake, I will allow you 1%. In his mind, the manager screamed curses. This daylight robber. But outwardly, he endured it patiently. He spoke, I am telling you up front. He revealed, I have about 7 more bags like this. Hearing that, the other two men's eyes widened in horror. The manager hastily urged, Hey, what are you standing there for? Quickly bring the contract. The employee replied. Yes, sir. Seeing the transfer was successful, he secretly calculated, at this rate, the 1.1 trillion won mansion won't be far off. He frowned. Calculating, the problem is, to earn high-grade magic stones, these gates are not enough. He mused, if only I could freely enter and exit rifts. How good that would be. His phone suddenly notified him of news. Startling him. He looked at the notification. Wondering, what is this, an energy wave? He saw an urgent administrative alert about an energy wave in the rift in England and that the embassy was coordinating protection. Hearing that, he was not very surprised, so AT's England. I thought AT was something serious. He concentrated on reading the news. After reading the message, Siu Dojan's eyes had a sharp glint. Immediately after, Siu Dojan turned and left, abandoning his transaction, leaving the manager bewildered. In the bustling, hurried crowd, Siu Dojan's figure gradually faded, accompanied by his thoughts. In the past, no matter which country or association was involved, I would go seal the rift, but not anymore. Siu Dojan then went to a restaurant with his grandmother and sister. The sizzling grilled meat emitted smoke and looked very appetizing. Young drooled with longing. The waiter quickly picked up perfectly cooked pieces of meat and placed them on a plate. His grandmother looked at the menu and asked Dojan, somewhat alarmed, if 250,000 won for 100 grams was a bit expensive. Siu Dojan, while drinking water, casually replied, I earned a lot of money this time. Do not worry. Eat as much as you like. Young continuously blew on the hot piece of meat. Then she gently put the meat into her mouth, closing her eyes to savor the flavor. Her eyes lit up. The meat was so delicious that AT entranced Young, leaving her enraptured. Her cheeks flushed, and her face showed extreme happiness and excitement. His grandmother looked at the meat being grilled on the grill, a little hesitant and cautious. Siu Dojan contemplatively looked at the menu. Then he called the waiter to order more food. We will have 4 servings each. Fresh ribs, premium sirloin, oxtail, bird's nest. The waiter happily wrote down the order. His grandmother, still worried that Dojan would not have enough money. Stop, Dojan. Is not that a bit much, dear? How can we eat all of that? Dojan comforted his grandmother. Today, just eat your fill. Grandma, you eat too. Grandma. Then he quickly picked up meat for her. His grandmother, seeing that, felt a little helpless. Oh my goodness. Just then, Young also offered a piece of meat. Grandma, the meat is so delicious. You have to try 82. Grandma. The little girl quickly put the meat into her grandmother's mouth, not giving her time to hesitate or refuse. Our Young is such a good child. As his grandmother tasted the meat, she exclaimed in surprise. Then the 3 of them, grandmother and 2 grandchildren, ate happily, and laughter began to fill the air. Meanwhile, Jian, with her elegant and distinctive figure, took resolute, strong steps forward, despite everyone in the restaurant murmuring in admiration. Dojan, who was eating, heard his name called and immediately turned around. In contrast to her strong demeanor earlier, Jian now cautiously suggested to Dojan, can we talk for a bit? Dojan was a little hesitant and annoyed. Jian saw Dojan's silence and quickly continued, so you are a hero. Before she could finish, Dojan cut her off. Do not you see I am eating with my family? If you have something to say, come back after I finish eating, Dojan said sharply. Juan said nothing and immediately turned away. But in fact, she was trying to suppress her anger at Dojan's rudeness. I am Jian. Do not you know who I am? Then she still turned back and replied to him. All right. In her mind, she was equally annoyed. What is this guy doing? Daring to ignore me like that? Soon, Juan was in the waiting area. Everyone there was also surprised and startled. Everyone's eyes and mouths were wide open at the appearance of Jian. They began to whisper and chat. That is Jian. Is not 8, the rank hero and global star? Jian. Yes, yes. She absolutely deserves to be on the list of the top 10 most beautiful heroes in the world. But who is she waiting for? Making Jian wait. Who could be so formidable? Juan remained coolly indifferent to all the surrounding chatter. That is because she was engrossed in thoughts about Dojan. Suddenly, her face darkened. 2 months ago was the first time he entered the gate, and he survived and came. Juan looked towards Dojan's table. Thoughts continuous. People suspected he had awakened at that time. He was presumed dead in the recent Mapo Rift incident. But just one look, one word from him made me tense up. She recalled Dojan's ice-cold gaze just now. But a newly awakened rank within less than 2 months. Even the oil tycoon calf, who heavily purchased magic stones, took 5 years to reach rank after awakening. There is no way that guy is a rank. He definitely has some special ability, as Jian thought. Sweat beaded on her forehead. The restaurant door was pushed open. Dojan's family had finished eating and left the table. Young chirped, "I am full." Han Jian was still waiting for Dojan. Suddenly, a stranger walked up to Dojan, stamping his foot heavily on the floor. Dojan was a little scared and surprised, but quickly regained his composure. The man spoke, his voice full of sarcasm. "What is this?" "See you, Dojan. So I was not imagining things. How the hell did you crawl out of that sewer?" A name flashed into Dojan's mind. Chiel Wu. Dojan remembered who was standing in front of him. Chiel Wu approached Dojan, speaking words full of contempt. "But I do not think you are really a cockroach." Seeing the unstable situation, Joan worriedly thought of a solution. In front of everyone, Chiel Wu. "What now?" She was flustered. Then she quickly walked to Dojan and Chiel Wu. Dojan was still trying to restrain himself from Chiel Wu's irritating words. Seeing Juyan approach, Dojan immediately thought of a plan. He called out to Juyan, "Hey, you said you needed to see me, right?" Chiel Wu, seeing this, turned around bewildered. "Huh. Ian Jian." Dojan's face was resolute. "I will listen to what you have to say. Just take care of my family for a bit. What exactly do you need?" Dojan looked towards his grandmother and sister. Ordering Juyan, "Just call a taxi to take them home." Juyan's face turned pale when she heard Dojan's next words. "I have some debts to collect." Dojan's eyes widened, his pupils glowing with a golden light full of energy. His suppressed emotions seemed to be about to pour through his threatening gaze at Chiel Wu. Chiel Wu was not afraid at all. On the contrary, he showed an annoying arrogance. As promised, outside the restaurant, dusk fell. Juan called a taxi for his grandmother and Eun-young. "Do not worry too much. Just go in." Inside the car, Eun-young looked at Juyan with a worried expression. Juan waved goodbye to Eun-young and his grandmother. "Bye. And you too, lovely little one." She waved goodbye with a friendly smile, then stood waiting for the car to drive further and further away. Inside the restaurant, tables and chairs had collapsed. Dojan struck Chiel Wu while everyone else ran in panic. All the suppressed emotions earlier gradually overflowed. Chiel Wu could not retaliate in time and took a punch from Dojan to the face. He was furious, his eyes red, gnashing his teeth and cursing Dojan. "This damn bastard." A staff member in the restaurant bravely tried to intervene. "Esteemed guests, if you do that here, then..." Chiel Wu angrily picked up a nearby plate and threw it directly at the employee. Not only that, he also raised his voice to drive her away. Seeing Chiel Wu lose control, Dojan warned everyone, "Ghetto immediately." Everyone around had run away, and the scene was somewhat chaotic. Chiel Wu roared, "Do you want to die? Do you really want to die? You bastard." His face looked no different from a beast, his eyes glared, his pupils no longer visible. Dojan did not let Chiel Wu say anything more, immediately jumping up and poking him straight in the eye. Chiel Wu was startled by Dojan's sudden, unresisted attack. He collapsed, clutching his face in pain. At this moment, Dojan's eyes were tense, stunned to the point of breathlessness. Mixed with a hint of anger, he called Okang Chiel Wu's name. "You brought me to the gate and locked me up to die, did not you? We have a lot to talk about, do not we?" In Dojan's mind, only the words resentment appeared. Chiel Wu slowly got back on his feet. "What is there to say to a guy like you who was abandoned by his own father? Your stepmother told you to go die." Dojan heard this and immediately pulled out his phone. He pressed the record button. He commanded Chiel Wu, "Say that again." Chiel Wu was annoyed, grinding his teeth. His hand clenched so tightly that red, fire-like spots appeared. "Say what?" Without hesitation, he moved forward, intending to punch Dojan. He even challenged, "Die here." "See you, Dojan." Dojan did not stand still to take the hit. He generated a powerful surge of energy and attacked Chiel Wu. The powerful energy was strong enough to send both Chiel Wu and his punch flying far away. Chiel Wu was now startled. My punch was deflected. From the blinding white void, Dojan extended his hand, each finger emitting a cold, icy light, his eyes fixated on his opponent. Chiel Wu was now pushed backward by Dojan's pressure. But Ata did not stop there. Dojan was charging down from above, his sharp eyes blazing, his body clenched in determination, about to deliver another punch to Chiel Wu. Chiel Wu was already lying helplessly on the ground before Dojan's fierce attack. Around the restaurant, at this moment, there was only smoke from Dojan's terrifying power. The restaurant employee was scared and wanted to call the police for help. Police. What is the police number? As she dialed, the employee's hand trembled. Suddenly, a hand gently took the phone. Please rest assured. Ada was Jian. After seeing Dojan's grandmother and sister off, she had returned. She smiled brightly at the employee and said, I will handle this. The employee felt more at ease after recognizing Juyan. I and Jian. Yes. Thank you. On this side, Dojan still had no intention of letting Chiel Wu go. He punched him so much that he bled. Juan slowly approached, looking at Chiel Wu's pathetic state. She thought to herself, Kang Chiel Wu is also a rank hero, yet he was so easily overwhelmed. Her foot gently stepped onto Dojan's shadow. Juan's thoughts still surged. Above B. No, above a rank. No matter what rank, could he overwhelm a B rank to that extent? She softly called, Oh. See you, Dojan. Dojan also paused. Juan hesitated, then advised Dojan. Doing that will ruin you. Dojan looked at Chiel Wu with a conceding gaze, then immediately stood up and walked towards Jian. Juan awkwardly explained to Dojan. This person. How much do you know about Kang Chiel Wu? Dojan replied without hesitation. I think I know pretty much everything I need to know. Why? Is that important? Juan sighed helplessly. AT's very important. Because Kang Chiel Wu's cousin is this rank hero Kang Young Pio. AT is precisely for this reason that Kang Chiel Wu always behaves so recklessly and arrogantly, acting as if he owns the world. Dojan remained unafraid, responding to Juan's warning. I know. Is there a problem? Juan was surprised. He already knew, yet he still maintained that indifferent attitude. So reckless. This man, that arrogant Kang Chiel Wu has been running rampant until now because Kang Young Pio protected him. So see Dojan's actions just now were really dangerous. Kang Chiel Wu was lying motionless on the ground earlier, his face bruised. Dojan continued to explain. I know a little about the feud between the two of you, but thinking that Kang Young Pio will understand is a mistake. Juan was both surprised and worried. Kang Young Pio, are not you afraid of Kang Young Pio? Dojan did not answer, just walked straight up to Jian and said, By the way, the fact that you know quite a lot about me is starting to annoy me. Dojan glared at Jian with murderous intent, making her feel a little scared and panicked. The restaurant employee was now hiding behind the counter, crying and trembling. She said she would help handle Atia. Siu Dojan and Haiyan Juyan stood looking at each other. Siu Dojan showed surprise when Juyan came there again. Juyan explained, Sorry for coming so suddenly. My uncle asked me for a favor. You sold mana crystals to Gas and Stoneman. Right. Please sell them to me. Any amount will do. I want to buy all that you have. Siu Dojan smirked. Quite a quantity. Is not 8. The assets of an S-rank hero are no joke. Nothing is unsellable. But I have one condition. Juyan continued. What condition? 8 is nothing big, for Juyan. This should be simple. In Hong Heju's room. She fumed, smashing the lamp to pieces. But he is dead, is not he? I heard he died in a newly opened rift. Director Lee slowly approached. I'm sorry. The Hero Association has surely confirmed his death. Do not make excuses anymore. What are you going to do now? Director Lee hesitated. But first, I have something to report. Kang Chiel Wu has been revenged by Seo Dojan. Ong Heju wondered. Kang Chiel Wu. What about that lunatic? Perhaps Seo Dojan already knows something. Sir, Ong Heju thought to herself. If the chairman or my husband heard about Ata, AT would be troublesome. But as long as IT's handled cleanly, 8 is fine. However, if the media finds the Geep Rupee stock will plummet. Must stop that immediately. Call the press. Tell them if they dare publish this article. Not only tempt the Rupa but also not up will cut all advertisements and never cooperate again. And the police too. Must silence them. Immediately. The police and media. I have already handled them. Sir. Ong Heejin sighed in relief. Excellent. Director Lee. But as you know, that is not a root solution to the problem. Isn't? That is why I want to report more. Kang Chiel Wu's cousin is Kang Dung Pio. Kang Dung Pio. Is that the person I am thinking of? Kang Chiel Wu is notorious as a scumbag in the hero world. Everyone thought Kang Dung Pio was very fond of him. But in reality, he just used Chiel Wu to do his dirty work. If Chiel Wu is controlled by the police and media, Then Kang Dung Pao won't be safe either. I think the other side has already made a move. Ong Hiju decided to meet Chiel Wu. We should meet him, arrange an appointment as soon as possible. And Director Huang Chang-seep of Hess Capital, he betrayed us, did not he? Director Li replied. Yes. He is currently taking care of Dojan's family. Contact Prosecutor P immediately. Dare to betray me and side with the other party. He will pay the price. Currently, South Korea has a total of 37 rift zones. Among them, 5 places are transforming into spatial gates, and only heroes affiliated with the Hero Association are allowed to enter and hunt monsters in the rest. Before passing through the gate, Hero Hein Juyan's identity was verified. After checking, the staff wished her a safe expedition. As soon as he entered, Siu Dojan thought to himself, there is only one entrance. They know AT's Hein Juyan, yet they are still checking so strictly. Zhang and Ju said to Juyan, you were the one who suggested hunting in this area first. That is strange. Juyan tiredly replied, AT's just that I felt fakiri, so I went. Juyan glanced at Siu Dojan. Siu Dojan's face was cold. Juyan recalled the crazy condition Siu Dojan had mentioned earlier. There is only one condition. If you let me into the rift area, I will sell all the mina crystals I have to you at market price. The reason is because hunting here earns money faster. Just for that reason, he dares to step into this dangerous area. He is truly insane. Even without my uncle's request, I still need hero mana crystals, so I do not see any problem. Ju chased after Juyan. Then, she leaned in and whispered to Juyan, tell me the truth, who is that guy? Juyan replied, just an acquaintance. Just an acquaintance. Do you expect me to believe that? He is a potential boyfriend, is not he? No. Sister, he is not. AT's just that I owed him a small favor, so I am bringing him along to repay AT. Ju did not believe her. A favor? Juyan, an S-rank hero. Owing someone. AT is a long sef to Ray. Suddenly, a strange sound appeared. Siu Dojan observed intently. Everyone began to prepare for defense. A fierce eagle with sharp claws swooped down from above. Although AT saw everyone holding swords, the eagle was not afraid but even more aggressive. Ju screamed, AT is a cocastrium. Ju and Juyan, take defensive stances. Sung Ho, block its leg. The battle erupted. Siu Dojan did not shy away from danger. He kicked the cocastrian flying. Everyone was stunned. Siu Dojan. Just a normal kick from Siu Dojan made one of them collapse. Damn A. I just entered the gate and immediately encountered trouble. After being kicked by Siu Dojan, the cocastrian painfully struggled up, wanting to pounce on Siu Dojan. Juyan planned her defense. Ju and I will immediately take defensive stances. Sung Ho will charge towards its leg. But everyone had not had time to do anything to AT. When Siu Dojan flew past, sending rocks and debris flying everywhere. Siu Dojan dueled one-on-one with the cocastrian. The cocastrian was exhausted, falling freely to the ground. Siu Dojan seized the opportunity, delivering a spectacular punch, making the cocastrian panic, trying to dodge, but AT was too late. The punch landed directly on the cocastrian. The punch made everything tremble. Siu Dojan held on tightly until the cocastrian had no more strength. Finally, Siu Dojan eliminated AE. The cocastrian lay motionless on the ground. What the hell? AD died in just one hit. Siu Dojan spoke. Not yet. He raised his leg very high. This is what you call the end. Everyone was bewildered. Who is that person? Juyan casually replied, just a person who is stronger than usual. Zhang and Ju grabbed Juyan's collar. What? How can you say that, taking down a cocastrian with just one blow? How many heroes are strong enough for that? If IT's just taking Ada down, I can do that too. You saw item. Yet you say that, AT was an aerial combat. Ada was hit directly in front of us. Could not even dodge. Then collapsed on the spot. And with only one blow. That monster bird. And that man. Who the hell is he? Sister, I think we need to change our plans. I will go a little deeper into the central area. Seeing Siu Dojan using a knife to cut the skin on the cocastrian's body, Juyan immediately stopped. Siu Dojan did not bother with Juyan. After taking the stone, Siu Dojan said, I have no intention of sharing with someone who contributed nothing. And I am not asking for anything either. Juyan asked Siu Dojan, I think your skill level does not quite suit this place. Do you plan to go deeper? Siu Dojan heard that. He was very excited. Interesting. I know the way around here. Let me lead. If you do not want to get lost, stick close to me. After instructing Siu Dojan, Juyan moved as fast as the wind. Siu Dojan still did not understand what was happening. He calmly took a stance to accelerate. In a moment, No one saw Dojan anymore, so everyone exclaimed, "Huh," and sighed. If Juyan is a bullet, then that person is a dazzling, blinding light. Guildmaster. We can't keep up. Inju looked and added, "Can you guys keep up?" Of course not. Well, today we are supporting roles. As usual, just wander around and gain experience points. Inju stood looking at the pathetic death of the Caucastrian. She thought to herself, everyone praises us as a rank heroes. But standing before an S rank, we are truly insignificant. Juyan is the same. As for that person, Juyan deliberately ran fast so that Dojan could not catch up. After running a long distance, she no longer saw Dojan's figure. She hesitated, wondering whether to slow down a bit, but unfortunately for Juyan, Dojan had caught up. He taunted Juyan, "Can't you go any faster?" Then he overtook Juyan. She was stunned. What the hell? I was caught up. Speed is my specialty. I am top 2 in Korea. Juyan could not believe it. Her hands and feet felt numb. Dojan turned back and said, "Compared to what I imagined, you are really slow." It was like you were trying to shake someone off. Juyan got angry and yelled at Dojan. "Who said I was trying to shake anyone off? I never." Dojan looked up at the mountain ahead. "Hey, what is that place?" Juyan answered Dojan's question. That place is where the Spatial Rift's monster boss resides." Dojan asked Juyan again. "Monster boss?" "Yes." "Have you heard of Caesarion, the giant beast, 20 meters tall? Looks like a flying lizard. Do not be foolish and rush in. You need at least 3 rank heroes to have a chance to defeat AT. That one holds the fantasy grade magic stone." "Right," Juyan continued. "That is right. 8 is only 1 level below the supreme grade magic stone. Are you even listening to me?" Dojan moved closer to the mountain. Juyan's eyes widened. "Do not tell me you are planning to catch it." Dojan did not answer, but eagerly ran straight along the path leading to the foot of the mountain. "I did not bring you here to do reckless things like that. Oh my goodness. What is he trying to do?" "Hey, stop right there." Juyan quickly chased after him, trying to stop Dojan's reckless actions, but she still could not stop Dojan. It was already dark, and the foot of the mountain was filled with an indescribable gloom. Hyunjian's expression suddenly became serious. She was still bewildered, not knowing what was happening right now, because she saw the dragon lying unconscious on the ground, so it was understandable that she did not understand. Then Juyan turned to look at Dojan, who was putting his sword into his backpack. But then she thought, Caesarion is an extremely terrifying monster. Introducing Pixie Hiyel, an S-rank hero, famous for his Caesarion hunts. Even he once led 30 A-rank heroes on his first hunt. The result was that all A-rank heroes died, and only Pixie Hiyel returned alive, barely clinging to life. After that, Pixie Hiyel gathered another S-rank hero and 200 A-rank heroes for revenge. They continuously used various weapons to fight the Caesarion. But those attacks were all useless against this terrifying monster, and Ada became even more enraged, wanting to slaughter all the heroes there. Pixie Hiyel and the others still charged towards the fierce monster. Ada was startled by the crowd, so Ada lashed and screamed very piercingly. Because too many people attacked at once, the Caesarion's body was in great pain. Finally, they managed to defeat this gigantic monster, but almost all the participating forces died. Watching Dojan eliminate AT in an instant, Juyan remembered the powerful guild, Sweet Life, founded by Pixie Hiyel, still unable to recover after 3 years. Suddenly, Dojan glanced at her. After being bewildered, she now felt angry when he said she had not contributed anything. But in Jian's mind, she could not stop thinking, if I had not witnessed AT with my own eyes, I would never have believed it. Caesarion, that notorious monster, was defeated by this man in a single blow. At this moment, Dojan was holding the magic stone of the monster he had just defeated. Then he stared intently at the stone, pondering, about to say something. After putting the spoils into his backpack, he turned to Jian and said, "Now I guess I do not need anyone to lead the way for me anymore." Then he turned abruptly, wanting to act independently from now on. When she reminded him, "Are not you taking anything else from the Caesarion besides the magic stone? They are all valuable materials for research." He stopped. He turned his head and told Jian, "AT's not profitable." Hearing that, she also became pensive. Dojan waved his hand, telling her to take whatever she wanted as a guiding fee, and that he would rather hunt magic stones from other monsters. Looking at the Caesarion, Jian was about to say something. But then she blurted, "Oh, I do not need a tea." still inside the gate, but now another group of people noticed something. There were backpacks full of spoils left in one place. 3 people, 2 girls and 1 boy, were silently looking at the backpacks. The man asked the Thim leader. He borrowed that super large backpack and brought a back full of crystals. They were still discussing the incredibly huge amount of magic crystals that must have taken a lot of time and effort for them to achieve. Then they looked UVA at Dojan, who was resting against a ruckus. These people were still wondering who that man was. Unbelievable. Not only fast, but so much too. One of them recalled in fear. If Jian's words are true, with Dojan's power, without any equipment, he was able to defeat the Caesarian. He could be called the strongest hero in Korea, even in the world. While chatting excitedly, they all turned to one side, hearing a sound. At this moment, Dojan had arrived, carrying 2 more backpacks full of magic stones. Everyone there had to stare at him. They were very surprised when he brought back another full backpack, thinking that no one would believe this when they returned and told the stiff to Rai. Then they laughed with each other, saying they should not utter a word, because no one would believe them anyway. Dojan walked up and said something to Dojan, making the others silently pay attention. They also speculated that they were lovers, recalling that it was strange when Dojan brought him here. As they watched the 2 talk, the people outside also marveled that this man was worthy of standing by Dojan, a perfect match of talent and beauty. But suddenly, they realized something when they saw that the 2 did not seem like a couple just starting to fall in love. Because the guy was not gentle with Dojan at all. They never expected anyone to treat her that way. Just as they were thinking ill of him, they were surprised to see Dojan place a backpack full of crystals in her hand. He said nothing more, but leisurely walked on. Seeing him walk away like that, both Dojan and the others present could only stare in bewilderment. One person from the Thim went to ask her about the backpacks he left behind. Dojan spoke. I told him that defeating the Caesarian would make him famous. But Dojan just waved his hand, annoyed, and left everything to her to handle. The other girl heard that and was very shocked. Then she wondered, is there really such a person in the world? Hearing that, Dojan had a very gloomy expression and said nothing. Then she blushed shyly, agreeing with the other girl that there was indeed such a person in the world. In a certain high-end villa complex, there was a large corporation called Bai. Inside, someone was eagerly boxing, continuously punching a sandbag. It was Pixie Hiyel. He was furiously punching forward. Then came a very powerful blow, as if to vent his anger. His expression at this moment looked very grim. Pixie Hiyel, an rank hero affiliated with the Korean Hero Association, was very angry at his current pathetic state. Seeing him like that, someone from the Sweet Life Guild spoke up to reassure him. No need to worry, sir. Your return after a long time will be a superpower. And the more persistent and arduous you are, the more renowned you will become. Pixie Hiyel heard the man talk about proving himself little by little and felt it was true, as he wanted those who looked down on him to regret it. He suddenly stopped walking, tired, when he heard the employee say, by then, everyone will have to kneel at your feet. When the Caesarian was mentioned and he was the one who understood it best, his expression became a little serious. The man offered water to Pixie Hiyel but continued to flatter him, saying he could be renowned and even recognized by the association for his right to mine cocastrian. He also took the bottle of water, agreeing with what the man said. Then he was happy again, as no one knew the monster better than he did. Afterward, he looked at the guild's achievements and saw that compared to 3 years ago, the guild had declined disastrously. At this moment, he happily and proudly asked, I am the only one who can defeat that monster bird. Right? When he asked, the other man eagerly agreed, saying that besides the guild master, no one else could do it. On the other side of the association building, there was a conversation. Detailed files about CO Dojan were being read by someone. Kang Chiel Wu's cousin, Kang Dongpao, and rank hero of the association, was asking his subordinate about Dojan after reading information from a paper. The other man confirmed and recounted that a few months ago, Kang Chiel Wu had tried to throw him into the spatial gate to eliminate him. Upon hearing the confirmation that Dojan was still alive, Dongpao wanted to hear more. The subordinate mentioned Hyen Jian, with her family background holding positions in both corporations. He also did not understand why someone so incredibly wealthy was involved with Dojan. The man also explained that he was the illegitimate child of that corporation, brought up but then expelled after Hong Hiju gave birth. Suddenly, Dongpao sneered, seeing how the magnate discarded his own blood. Then he stood up and asked, how much did Chiel Wu get for that? When he heard the figure of 30 billion, He still seemed to find Atai too little. Picking up a golf club, he continued to ask. But he was already dealt with, was not he? The subordinate reported. I heard he was only beaten, but in reality, he was severely injured, living worse than dead. While chillingly playing golf, he also found Atai shocking to hear. When the club swung, the ball landed right in the hole. With a gruesome face, he said, if it were me, Atai would be even worse. He was about to hit another ball when he heard news. The ball was struck by Dung Pyo upon hearing that Hyen Jun had helped Dojan at that time. But this time, the ball missed the center and went off course from the hole. He anxiously asked, why did she help Dojan, and what is their relationship? The reporting subordinate also broke into a sweat, saying he did not know, only that when Juan gave her statement, everything went smoothly. Dung Pyo angrily said he wanted his subordinate to immediately investigate their true relationship, wanting to make sure what kind of transaction they were making. The man ran off in fear, saying he would investigate immediately. His expression now looked very scary. Then he clenched the golf club, breaking AT. Then he threw it away forcefully. In his mind, he guessed Juan would come looking for him, wanting to ask for a favor that Chiel Wu could not do. But he also felt that AT was fine this way. His face became very twisted. Thinking, a Dung lady from a wealthy family. Money should not be an issue. One evening, on a certain street, the lights were still on. Dojan was leisurely walking down the street. He was thinking, as I predicted, hunting in the rift is still much more effective than in the gates. As he walked, he felt he would probably have to ask Hyen Joyan for directions many more times. Then he recalled her words when selling the Cocastrian magic stone outside. AT would be very troublesome with the press, so just keep AT for now. She also said she would not stop him if he wanted to become famous and asked Dojan what he planned to do now. After that, he threw the magic stone backpack directly into Joyan's hands. At this moment, he had his answer. I will find a way to enter and exit the rift zone. But for now, I will rest. And Dojan found the new house prepared by Huang Changseep quite good. As he opened the door to enter the house, his eyes widened in surprise. Then he wondered whose shoes these were, and so many pairs. Before he could collect himself, he looked up and heard a voice call, "Oh, brother." Both his grandmother and his sister An Yang were quite bewildered, having to entertain a Gita Rit of people who looked like gangsters. Suddenly, the leader glanced towards Dojan. His sister ran to hug him. While he was wondering who these people were, the other man asked, "You are Co Dojan, right?" He introduced himself as Prosecutor P. Chiel Yang and asked if he knew Mir Huang Changseep. He heard that and was pensive, not speaking yet. The prosecutor announced, Dojan has been arrested urgently on suspicion of participating in illegal usury activities of Hess Capital, headed by Mir Wang. The scene shifts to the prosecutor's office in Seal. Inside the room, Dojan was handcuffed and waiting for interrogation. When he heard a sound, his eyes looked up. Someone was talking on the phone with Director Lee, about both Chang Seop and Co Dojan being very obedient. Then he laughed heartily, thanking him for caring about his daughter's study abroad. The prosecutor wanted to convey his message to Director Hong. Looking at Dojan sitting in the chair, he still talked on the phone, about why he became a prosecutor. A2 was to eliminate trash like them from society. Then he sneered again. A pile of papers was thrown onto the table. Pichi Chiel-young picked them up and read, asking what he had been doing recently, as the charges listed were enough for 10 years in prison. Then he held up the paper for Dojan to see, saying, Huang Changseop's side has provided more than enough evidence against him, but his attitude remained silent. The prosecutor yelled loudly, looking at his blank face, thinking he was making things up. When he heard him say, "Is not this the crazy woman Hong Heju's trick?" the man was also surprised. He immediately stood up and asked who she was. In his mind, he thought, a Huang Changseop's faction is about to completely collapse. I originally wanted to remain silent for things to go smoothly, but at this point, then the prosecutor sat down again and said, I do not know where you heard that. But then he moved closer to him, threatening that getting involved with Korean prosecutors would be fatal. Dojan's eyes were cold as he looked at him. Hearing those words, this man also became strangely fearful. Then he just uttered incoherent sounds. He gritted his teeth. He was about to use the right-hand rule on him and curse. Before he could act, the man had to stop in a very awkward posture. Someone walked UV and said, Prosecutor Peaks, please step outside for a moment. After stepping into the hallway, he was astonished, unable to believe it. Looking at the paper he was given, he stubbornly asked if the machine was broken, but the prosecutor confirmed that AT was fine. The hero scanner reported normal person. He found AT very illogical as AT was CO Dojan. He printed the information paper and asked, could the information about him awakening be wrong? Pixie Hiyel also pondered, as the information was provided by the other corporation, and he even knew Hong Hiju, so he did not know who Dojan really was. He had been sitting in the interrogation room for a long time and was very tired. And he also understood why everyone called Korean prosecutors bastards. He thought about beating them all up. Then he would take his grandmother and Eun-young and flee to a very distant place. At this moment, Join entered the room and asked, what are you doing here? Her face had not quite registered the situation yet. Dojan sighed and replied, even I do not know. She warned him not to be impulsive while in shock, but using force would make things worse. When Dojan asked if she would help, she said, not exactly help, but, knowing he was innocent, she would not stay silent if someone was falsely accused. He also replied, so that is how it is. Joyan told him that the Hero Association would launch an investigation, focusing on the illegal use of Ed and the spatial rift incident at his house. When he asked about his family, she remained silent. Joyan grumbled, I am his secretary. I guess I have to take care of household matters too. Dojan's eyes were fixed on her, making her feel a little suffocated. Then she reconfirmed with him, your family is safe, so do not worry. He thanked her, saying he would repay this debt. Hearing that, Joyan also blushed with embarrassment but still reminded him, bear with AT a little longer. I will try to handle everything as quickly as possible. Hyunjun chose not to directly clear Dojan's name. She exposed prosecutor P. Cheol-young's wrongdoings, leading to his dismissal. A fair investigation later would confirm his innocence. Sitting in the car being driven home by Joyan, he thought, I can't avoid the penalty for the illegal hero Ed, but she argued fiercely, so I only got a suspended sentence. The media reported that a monster never seen before had attacked people in England. AT had the shape of a praying mantis, was 1.5 meters tall, had 4 eyes, and possessed incredibly strong jumping ability. Dojan stated its name was Makashin. Joyan was surprised to hear him say that. When he knew its name, currently only the association knew the name of this new monster. He was pensive when he heard her say, the monster's name just came out of nowhere. Magic stones not only contain energy but also store information about that species. Analyzing them will reveal the monster's name and data. In the modern world, science is used, while in that fallen world, AAT was magic. Therefore, if a monster appears in both worlds, AT is highly likely that Dojan knew its name beforehand. When he said he wanted to deal with the monster using red ant extract, she did not know what that was. Dojan explained its effect, harmless to humans but a powerful paralyzing poison for Makashians. One spray and they can't resist. Joan suddenly fell silent. Then she asked him again, who exactly are you? Hearing that question, he also fell silent. The car was still driving smoothly on the road. She glanced at Dojan, angrily looking at him, because he had not listened to anything she said until now. At this moment, he spoke, if I kill Hong Hiju, what will happen? His face carried a murderous intent. On Hong Hiju's side, she was sitting at her desk, nervously biting her fingernails. The manager was also sweating profusely, saying nothing. Seeing her like that, then he said, It seems that is the way things are, sir. Hiju still did not understand why I was high in Joan. The manager also spoke, as no one knew anything when she had a connection and acquaintance with Dongju. Because she was so vexed, her fake nail was bitten off. Knowing AT was truly Joyan but not understanding what the hell was happening, she angrily stood up and slammed the table, asking, Dojan is a hero. Did not I hear he awakened? Despite his current fear, the manager still replied to her, I am not sure, sir. He also guessed that he had some skill that could fool the testing machine. Hearing the answer, Ong Hiju's expression worsened. She immediately ordered, contact Kang Dong-pao with 30 billion. Just need him to take the job. On his side, he had received contact from Hong Hiju with 30 billion, but he still felt AT was not enough and wanted double. His subordinate asked if doubling was too much, but Dong-pao said no. He knew she had no other choice. If this matter was resolved, 60 billion was nothing to her. Then he smirked wickedly, thinking about Hyun Jian too, and felt that dealing with an S rank should be like this. The subordinate also felt 80 was true, as she was a tough opponent. Suddenly, Dong-pao threw something forcefully to the ground, making the subordinate fearful and break into a cold sweat. He questioned the man, as he thought all ranks were the same, but Dong-pao confidently said he could defeat Jian in 20 minutes. Hearing him say that, the man could only reply, yes, sir. Then Dong-pao happily returned to asking, "Have you heard any news from the association?" And was reported by his subordinate that the Uk branch said they could not provide any more forces. The association announced they would choose heroes to dispatch with extreme caution. He also felt annoyed that they were making things difficult. Seeing how greedy this association was, he asked about the schedule and was informed that they would depart in 3 days. He was very excited about a trip to Japan, as he planned to meet someone named Takahashi. Dongpyo was thinking about the Makashin, a new type of monster whose weakness had not been found yet. But then he laughed manically. "If I find my value will skyrocket." England was enveloped in poisonous air. The people here were fleeing from the Makashin monsters. Its body was extremely tall and muscular. Below, the heroes had gathered and were looking up at AT. Everyone was equipped with armor and weapons. But they were still a little worried. The monster noticed something and let out a cry. Then, AAT raised its gigantic claw and struck directly at where the heroes were standing. At this moment, they charged to attack the monster. Each with their own unique strength, they combined forces to strike at its head, and an immediate finishing blow into its entire body. One Makashin was eliminated. Then AT fell freely, shaking the ground. The heroes approached to examine AT and confirmed IT was dead. Everyone felt tired. Suddenly, one person in the Giebru saw something very surprising. Other monsters had appeared in swarms, so they also cried, "Oh!" This person was feeling scared as its claws were about to pierce their head. A battle between the two sides continued. The British heroes tried their best to stop the monsters, but due to a lack of accurate information, they failed against the enemy. The defense line in Cambridge had collapsed, and the monsters were only 60 km from London. Many Makashins were moving together. One of them still had glowing eyes. But then, for some reason, AT suddenly folded. Then AT screamed in pain. One by one, they were being knocked to the ground. Above them, a helicopter was flying. The people in the helicopter, including Juan and Dupao, could not believe AT when AT was true. She was still surprised, while everyone continuously praised how the essence from red flower ants made the Makashins unable to cope. Dumingpai looked at her, wondering how she knew. Everyone was excited when they heard Jian say, "Go deal with the rest of the monsters." They jumped out of the helicopter. She drew her sword. Another day, a plane was preparing to land. The airport was quite deserted. There were many people, including reporters, standing in the arrival hall to greet someone, setting up cameras. They were very excited because AT was really a big deal, knowing that Haiyan Juyan was the most prominent person at the British headquarters. When she discovered the Makashian's weakness and saved Britain from disaster, she was truly a hero, according to a source. As they continued to say that she would be knighted by the British royal family, a reporter got excited when she arrived. Haiyan Jian was walking out of the door. Many reporters and paparazzi were constantly taking pictures with bright flashes. Suddenly, she froze when she heard someone ask how she knew about the monster's weakness. Dongpyo's side was not much better when he was asked about his feelings on hunting the most Makashins. Korean television reported that the hero Geeper rep, including Haiyan Jian, had returned home, letting everyone know that Korea's pride had saved Britain. They also revealed that the key to destroying the monster was a substance derived from red fire ants. Seeing the news on the LED display, Dojan, hooded, remained silent. Then came the interview with the heroes. He glared coldly when he recognized Kang Dongpyo. At a very crowded cave, 3 gift bags were placed on the table, and the giver said, "This is a gift for you." Dojan, holding a cup of coffee, knew what the gifts were. Haiyan Juan pointed out the gifts from Eun Yang and her grandmother, and also from him. She reminded him to take them home and open them, as AT would not be good to do a tie there. After seeing the shirt, Dojan said, "Ada looks expensive." Jian, enjoying her tea, explained that she gave AT because he helped her to be called a hero. She said that this was nothing, and she would buy him a car if he wanted, but Dojan said he would let her know when, as he had also received help. Jian wanted to ask him how he knew the monster's weakness, but Dojan cut her off. She sighed, asking him what his plans were for the future. She was thinking that he might want world peace and wanted to stop him because targeting Hong Heju and Kang Dongpyo would be dangerous. Dojan said, first of all, to buy a house, leaving Juan speechless. Inside the cave, they were still talking about his current home. Meanwhile, elsewhere, wealthy men were indulging in women. Many girls were playing in the pool of a villa. Kang Dongpyo was having fun with these beautiful women. Suddenly, His expression became serious as he thought about Hien Joyeon. She was very different now. Knowing the monster's weakness, he suspected that she was covering up how she got the information. And he remembered asking about Seo Dojan on the plane, but not getting an answer. Dong Pai also asked about him knocking the prosecutor in front of witnesses, but she did not say anything either. Juan said that Kang Chiel Wu started 81st, and he was the one who attacked first when they met. He smiled sinisterly, thinking that Kang Chiel Wu was blinded by money. Then he mentioned that he was his cousin, so he had an excuse to take revenge on Dojan. Juan looked at him with disgust, and the way he looked at her was also not ordinary. But then she turned around and said, "Do whatever you want, I won't interfere." Dong Pio did not understand. Their relationship was not as good as he thought. She kept saying that she had no reason to get involved. Back in the present, he still wondered why she did not intervene, since she said that, and he still suspected that there was something between her and Seo Dojan. England. Long Sutton. Shrewsbury. These were the places devastated by the recent monster wave. The British Hero Association wanted to collect as many magic stones as possible before the second wave hit, and many people were deployed to the rift. A rift guard was feeling regretful, saying that with the red fire ant essence, even D-rank people like them could defeat Macassians. The other guy agreed, saying AT would be very useful to stop the wave from the beginning. They could not install gates in places that had been swept by the wave, and they heard that the second wave would have monsters other than Macassians, and everyone was worried because other countries had been destroyed. As they were talking, they noticed something, but one of them said that he just felt someone leaving, and the other asked if the new raid them had already left after only 5 hours. Then the two became vigilant, fearing that civilians would see the many magic stones and flock to the place. Suddenly, the rift seemed to be about to break open. One of the guards turned to look and started to panic. The other one was also dumbfounded. Inside the rift, a very large and muscular person appeared, radiating murderous intent. Suddenly, his eyes stared at something. The two guards realized that he was not a hero, commander, or hunter, and immediately had to call headquarters. The monster raised his hand to unleash his power. At this moment, the two guards were floating in the air. No one expected him to drag them along while floating. One of the two drew a weapon and threw it at the monster, but he blocked everything. Then said, "Too weak." Then he clenched the hand that was using his power, causing the two guards to scream in pain. The monster was disappointed. Even though he had activated the space-time rift, the gap had not opened yet, and the immediate task was to increase his own magic power. The person who attacked him earlier, though severely injured, still asked, "Who are you?" But this guy wanted AT now. First, he tore the guy to pieces immediately, then slaughtered them, like insignificant insects. In Paju, South Korea, Dojan was walking slowly on the grass when he heard a noise. He closed his eyes to feel AT more clearly, and even after confirming the noise, Dojan still did not understand. Behind him, something was about to attack. Headless monsters covered in thorns emerged, looking gruesome. The ground was also affected, as these things were emerging from AT. Dojan was looking down at the large hole. Then he pressed his hand down and detected 26 of them within 100 meters. He cast a power sphere, wanting to see how long they would survive. Then, he threw the sphere straight into the hole. Dojan waited there for something. Then, the holes echoed with a loud explosion. The monsters were blown to pieces and flew into the sky. But his power kept making the explosions bigger. Dojan stood there, watching their mutilated bodies fly around, and remained silent. At a building of some corporation, an old man was saying, "Okay," and asked, "What kind of person is he?" The person speaking replied, "He is really a hard-to-read Dung man." Then someone else added, "That person identified himself as a hero." Min Hong, the deputy director of the Hero Association, was still listening to the opinions. Natiwang spoke up, saying that he heard they could not measure his strength with a hero measuring device, and the deputy director asked for an explanation. The vice president of the association got angry and shouted, as he was an arrogant person of the Hero Association who did not respond. Natiwang interrupted and said, "There is one more thing." When asked about the information they needed to find the deputy director said, "Although there is not much information, AT initially started as a malicious plot by the hero Kang Chiel Wu. On Dojan's side, monsters were still emerging in large numbers. He was still using his power to fight them. Seo Dojan, a newly awakened person, almost lost his life on a hunt in the community. Afterwards, he took revenge on Kang Chiel Wu and even single-handedly dealt with all the monsters in the Mapo Rift. Although his actions may seem excessive, AT can be confirmed from those actions that, the deputy director firmly said, Siu Dojan's power is superior to everyone else's. Natiwang understood that even though he was a bit difficult to control, he was very strong and useful. The deputy director continued. He requested an official hero certification, saying that he had a guarantor and wanted to skip the association's procedures. Hearing this, he wondered about the guarantor. The other person said that AT was an S-rank hero. He mentioned Haiyan Juyan. Everyone in the room was shocked to hear this. Dojan was very happy to have had a good fight. Then, in his hand, he was holding a hero association card with his name on 80. He sat down curiously, seeing that 80 said he was the 8th rank hero of Korea. Thanks to that, he could hunt freely in the rift area, which was great. Na Tiwang laughed heartily after hearing everything. Since he went to the Paju Rift as soon as he got certified, both he and the bigwigs in the association felt that he was indeed not ordinary. The vice president felt AT was crazy that he dared to enter a level 2 rift without anyone accompanying him. Natiwang was also pensive when he saw him shout so loudly, and saw that the deputy director's expression was also very serious. Because of the expressions of these two people, he also felt tense. But then he hastily called out to the chairman, saying that when Seo Dojan returned, they should announce his identity and promote him widely. But the deputy director stopped him. When Deputy Director Min said that they should ask if he wanted to before doing so, the vice president talked about the unstable times, and that having another hero would reassure the public. Then he turned to ask the chairman, while Natewang was still deep in thought. He said that he understood the opinions of both of them. Then he announced, I will meet him directly once. Sojin was still beating up the monsters. They were very numerous and always opened their mouths wide to bite him. Suddenly, he stopped, planning to do something. With his hand full of power, Sojin made a horizontal cut across 3 monsters. Then another 3 monsters were also dealt with. After eliminating them, he landed with a very heroic aura. Behind him, there was still a wall of monsters that had been split in 2. Although he had cleared the monsters, the power in Dojan's hand was still there. Then he sighed and dispelled it. In his mind, he thought that AT took quite a bit of magic power to destroy the monsters, and he had to buy new weapons.